I feel like the more I scroll, the dumber I get. From all the horrible advice.
And I was puffy, right? And my feet and ankles, sodium.
To baby heads, ridiculous puns.
Ocean spray? You're ocean crazy.
To, I don't care what you say, whatever this is, this is my favorite.
Are you looking for a hamburger bun?
I have been bugging my wife all day with that. Looking for a hamburger bun? I think that's why I feel so obligated spending days researching for each video, because I want you to walk away understanding the science behind it, but also how you can apply it to make your training, nutrition, whatever, better. So with that, let's dive into the science of hydration. I don't know about you, but I sweat profusely throughout the day. First thing in the morning, I get up and lay under this giant ass red light panel. I also sit in the sauna and bake my chubby self for about 20 minutes. Then at some point in the day, I train, where by the end of it, I always end up looking like I pissed my pants from the back. Hell, I even have Tumblr blogs that are dedicated to my pit stains. And I'm sure you're just sitting there thinking, okay, cool story, but shut up and drink more water and you'll be fine. You're wrong. And for years, I thought the same thing. I would drag around a gallon of water like this and just chug it throughout the day, because I thought water in equals water out. I'm probably pretty good. Nope, wrong. Damn it! That was a tough bottle. Here's a way you can test this yourself. Go to your closet and grab one of your favorite hats. You're gonna notice there's a nice little white ring around it. That's sodium. So obviously we can't just rehydrate with water alone. And in fact, water alone could potentially be making you even more dehydrated. We've all heard that story of a girl who drank an entire gallon of water at a bar one night and succeeded, but died. Let me explain to you exactly what happened. ChatGPT, make me a drawing that illustrates the relationship between the ICF and ECF. What the f is that? All right, I guess we're doing this the hard way, where I gotta make these stupid graphics in Resolve. Roughly 60% of your body mass is water, depending on how husky you are. Fat holds considerably less water than muscle. Of that 60%, a third of it is extracellular fluid, which we can categorize even further, 80% being interstitial, which just means between the cells, and the remaining 20% plasma, or said plainly, the liquid component of your blood. The remaining 2/3 of that 60% is intracellular, the fluid inside your cells, which is kind of wild when you think about it. Now, this is where it gets tricky when you start comparing the intracellular to extracellular fluid. Notice they have a different composition of electrolytes. At this point, they're obviously not electrolytes, they're ions, cations, and anions. I know, I'm just trying to make it so you don't get confused. The question really is, since they are so different, how do we hydrate in a way that doesn't screw up these concentrations? The answer lies in the fact that the extracellular fluid dictates what happens to the intracellular fluid. In the example of the girl who chugged a gallon of water and took a dirt nap, what happened was she diluted her ECF to the point that her cells try to pull in water to regain the proper concentrations, but your cells, specifically the ones in your brain, don't appreciate swelling, i.e. Now, to a smaller extent, this is what can happen when you hydrate with just water alone. Now, the cool part about this isn't something you just have to guess. You can calculate this yourself by looking at your last blood panel and getting your glucose number, your BUN, blood urea nitrogen, and your sodium, and use it to calculate your serum osmolarity, which is just the composition of solutes in your blood, your hydration status. If we take my most recent blood work and plug it into a calculator online, because I'm not doing the math, because math, you'll notice that depending on the reference range, I'm either at the bottom end or below it, which again means I'm drinking too much plain water, which is diluting my ECF, which is causing my cells to pull in water and causing my life to fall apart. Now, to fix this problem, we need to break it up into two separate parts, because they require very different strategies. How you hydrate yourself throughout the day, and how you hydrate yourself in or around your workout. Let's start out with the more difficult of the two, what you should be doing around your training. In a perfect world, you would create an electrolyte solution that is isotonic to your extracellular fluid, ensuring there is no net fluid movement in or out of your cells, maintaining proper cellular hydration, and still supplying those cells with the obvious potassium and magnesium that you put in the goddamn solution. But in practice, it's a lot harder to do because it ends up being really concentrated and you run into a lot of GI issues. That's why when you go to the hospital when you're dehydrated, they give you an isotonic IV, because if they try to make you drink the solution, you would piss most of it out of your ass. And I've seen people try to solve this problem by taking a teaspoon of salt before they train, but there's several problems with that. The first one being, that's just sodium chloride. And while it's good you got a couple electrolytes in there, to be optimal, you need a couple more. The second issue is that water moves towards higher concentrations of sodium. So what does it look like when water gets pulled into your GI tract? It looks like 2 a.m. Taco Bell. I think the best way to look at it, as simple as it sounds, is looking at what you secrete while you sweat, as well as in what amounts, and replenish that. For every liter of sweat, you lose anywhere from 0.5 to 2 grams of sodium, a little bit higher of chloride, 100 to 500 milligrams of potassium, which is mostly lost through urine post-training, and 25 to 100 milligrams of magnesium. And you can easily track how much fluid and sweat you've lost just by weighing yourself pre and post-training. I actually wasted a small sum of money on a sensor just to see how many electrolytes I was losing while I trained. It said around 1,100. Who knows how accurate that is, or whether that was all sodium? I don't know. I don't really trust it, but I thought it would be useful for this video. It was not. So here's exactly what I do. For electrolytes, I use this. Is it perfect? No, it needs to have more potassium, magnesium. I'd actually add a couple things to it, but it's the best I've found. I've actually looked into sourcing my own electrolyte powder because nothing perfectly mimics what you lose when you sweat. Everything is just a little off. About an hour before I train, I pre-hydrate, mixing one of these into 25, 30 ounces of water, because if you want to limit your chance of dehydration, that's the best way. And I also add in 3 grams of glutamine, which I know, for the longest time, I said it was the biggest waste of money and sucked all the dicks. Turns out it helps with rapid fluid and electrolyte absorption in the gut. And totally redeemed itself. That also means that my intra and post-workout drink that I make in this giant jug has changed. I made an entire video on the science behind it. If you want to watch it, it's somewhere up there. But now I also add one of those packets, which again, 1,000 milligrams of sodium and a scoop of glutamine. I know it feels weird. I hated it for so long and now it's back. I feel the same way about my brother. Now, as far as fluid intake the rest of the day, I consume at least one more of these. Because even though the focus of this video has been on how much you lose when you sweat, you lose just as much, if not more, when you urinate. Just look at the acceptable lab values of sodium concentration in your urine over a 24-hour period, and you'll see it's anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 milligrams. And unless you're eating a lot of processed food and you're waking up every morning and taking a bunch of McGriddles to the face, then you're probably under-consuming the amount of sodium that you should be, as well as the other electrolytes. All I'm saying is, try it. You'd be shocked at how much better your workouts are, or not, or just continue to eat McGriddles and die happy. I don't care. Now, just to be clear, I still follow the recommendation of drinking half my body weight in water in ounces per day. I just want to highlight how important it is to supplement electrolytes. For example, did you know that if you cramp in the middle of the night or in the beginning of the workout, that's a magnesium deficiency? If you cramp later in the workout, that's sodium and potassium. All right, back to it. And if you don't have all the newest programs in the app, this is what they are. And yes, you need to buy them because I just rescued another dog. Without asking my wife. So I'm gonna need to buy a new wife from another country.